Have you ever wondered if you handle the situation properly? I know I have. Well, you're welcome to SIP. Here, we say it properly. And we're looking forward to having you on each episode as we learn together how to say it properly. I am MABEL FOLUKE IRUKERA. See you then. You're welcome to Say It Properly. My name is MABEL FOLUKE IRUKERA and I'm looking forward to having a great time with you today. We're going to be talking about anger. And because it's such an intense topic, we are thinking that we might have to break it into 2 sessions. Yes, well, first time we're going to be doing that. But the reason is so that you can get all the information in. You're welcome. Let's go. Before we go on, I want to ask a question. Have you gone on Byronbee TV? Have you subscribed? Are you liking us? Are you sharing? I'm sure you've gotten a lot of content from us in the past few weeks. Please do that so that I can keep getting more and more. Thank you very much. Today we're going to be talking about anger. Every single one of us has experienced that at one time or the other before. Yes, I'm sure you have. I don't think there's anybody on the surface of the earth, maybe a baby, that hasn't experienced anger. But even babies, when they are born and they are brought out of the birth canal, guess what happens? The first thing they feel is the anger and the shock, like, why am I out here in this cold place? Because they brought them out of a warm place. So what is anger? Anger is an emotion. And that's what we have to remember. It's an emotion. It's nothing, it's not something that is just in the air like that. It's tangible in some sense. It's an emotion that we feel. It's a strong feeling of annoyance, of displeasure or hostility. Put it all together, it's an emotion. Anger can be expressed like that constructively, or can be a destructive thing. Let's talk about what? A destructive manner or way of expressing anger. So I heard this story a while ago about this young boy. The father just bought a brand new car and the father was very excited, so he called the family, come see the car. The family, they all ran out there and everybody was looking at the car. Beautiful car, looking nice. And they went back inside and the young boy stayed back and took a piece of stone and started writing on the car. When you write on the car, it means you're scratching. And the boy started scratching. The father came out. His head went off. He was so mad. He was so angry. And he took the boy, and the closest thing that he found with him, by him, was a metal, was a hammer. And he started to hit the boy's hand. Hit it, until he came to himself and realized what he was doing. The boy was screaming and crying. Father was angry. He did not even remember. He had lost himself. But by the time he came to himself, they had to take this young boy to the hospital. And the surgeons got there. Doctors started looking at it. They did all that they could. And the boy was in hospital. And they told the father that this boy is never going to be able to use his fingers again. But they had to keep him in hospital for the fingers to heal anyway. So one day the father was visiting. At this time, the father was already broken. It was already broken because at the end of the day, he realizes that this boy was writing a message on the car. And so when he got home, he looked at the car and the boy had written, "I love you, Dad," on the car. But the father, in his anger, had already destroyed his child because the boy's fingers are no longer working. He can't use them. He's never going to be able to write like a normal child again. How do you express anger? Like I said, we have all felt angry before. We've all gone through it. Anger is an emotion. It can be destructive, but it can be constructive. It's constructive when we are able to express ourselves in a way that makes the situation better. And from there, before I share my story, we're going to be going on a commercial break, and then we'll be back with you real soon. You're welcome back. And so now I'm going to share my story. My story is really, really fresh in my head because it happened to me this morning. We're talking about anger, remember? And we said anger is an emotion and it's something that we have all felt. So this morning I got up, I had so many things I wanted to do, including coming to the studio, and I had just a lot on my mind. Just about the time I was getting ready to start leaving, they're going to get, well, I live in the country, Nigeria, and right now we have what you call a fuel subsidy situation. The fuel subsidy has been taken out, and the fuel or gas, wherever you're in the world, now costs 3.5 times more than it did before. So you can imagine the pain that we're all going through. And so I had asked somebody to go deliver some things to a place. I get downstairs and I found out that a portion of that I had told them to deliver was still in the house. Of course, immediately my mind was crazy. Like, how on earth? It means that they're going to have to go miles again, come back, and then go back there. And I was just thinking about the 488 naira, that's 500 naira per liter that I was paying for the gas. That was already on my mind. And then comes my son. So my son is home from school. And he comes to me and he's angry. He's like, "Mom, you didn't wake me up." I was so angry. Wake you up? What are you talking about? Then I remember that he had told me to wake him up. And he did say, "Wake me up at every cost." He said, "Whatever it will take, wake me up." But I did not wake him up. And so what happened? I went on and I said, "I forgot. I did not wake you up." And I started giving him, the kind of issues I was dealing with. Went on about that. And he was looking at me like, "That's not solving the problem." I said, "Okay, well, if you had told me I should wake you up because you had an appointment with an uncle, then maybe I would have." And he said, "No, that's not what it is." So he's angry. I am angry at the same time because I'm already dealing with some issues and I'm still trying to get here at the same time. And he's trying to get an apology from me. Do you remember our talk about apology? That's where I'm bringing this to. Because the reason I'm bringing this up is that anger leads you to making apologies. Anyway, so after a bit, I calmed down, but I gave an apology. So I said, "Okay, I'm sorry, but if you had..." And the young man said no. He said no. And the next thing I know is that my phone clicks and I pick my phone up and I see that he has sent me the episode that we had on Say It Properly about apology. I thought that was the craziest thing. And he said to me, he said, "You told us that when you make an apology, it's an acknowledgement of a wrong and you leave it there. You don't put a clause like you're doing." That was a lesson in humility for me this morning. And at the same time, a lesson about anger and not getting yourself together. So I'm hoping that you learned about apology and that you see that if you get angry, then you have to be giving many, many apologies and that you have to leave the apologies at where they are. That's my story for you this morning. That's how it is. And I'm going to go back on to talking about anger. But I know that you've already gotten something from that because I learned a big lesson that when you give an apology like I had taught, you leave it there. And more importantly, try not to get angry in such a manner that is no longer constructive. Because my anger wasn't constructive. It wasn't doing anything. Yes, it wasn't destroying anything in the environment, but it wasn't working the way it should have, worked out at that time. Why do people get angry? Because you're irritated about something that has happened. Because you're upset about something, because something is not going the way you had planned it. That's why we get angry. At times you're angry because you're stuck in a situation. Maybe you're stuck in traffic and you're just getting angry because you're trying to get to a place. So anger is that emotion that we express in that manner. How do we express anger? People express anger in so many ways. I'm sure you've known about people that when they're angry, they don't even talk. They just shut down. That's it. They don't say anything to anybody. They just move away. They shut their doors. They look away. They don't do anything with anybody else. They're like, what is that? That's their way of expressing anger. That's their way of expressing anger. Some yell and get to scream and they shout and, they can be very disruptive because of their noise. That's another way of expressing anger. I'm not endorsing any manner of expressing anger. I'm just showing you the ways people express anger. Another way is people cry. Have you ever met somebody that when they are angry and you tell them what is wrong, or you ask them, can you explain? And they just start crying. Yes. It's anger. They are so angry that they cannot form the words. The words can't even come together. They're just so upset. That is what anger does to people. And then we come to children. Oh my goodness. Have you seen that child on the store? Maybe in the store, and you see this child just throwing his legs all over the place and yelling and screaming, throwing a tantrum. And mommy is there. Mommy too is now getting angry. Many times anger begets anger. And that's what we're trying to stay away from. Like I said, that's what happened with me this morning. So we need to learn how to curtail our anger. And then you have the very destructive one where people just the person becomes very, enraged, and they destroy things. They throw things around. You've seen it in movies, maybe you've seen it in the house. I do not know. But whatever it is, I've just shown you the different ways that people express anger. Wow, that was intense, wasn't it? All that information at once, and I gave you a personal example of myself today. Actually opened up and let you into my own world and how to handle that. I learned some lessons too. I hope you did too. Well, this is it for today, and we look forward to having you in the conclusion when we start our part B. Have you ever wondered if you handle the situation properly? I know I have. Well, you're welcome to SIP. Here, we say it properly. And we're looking forward to having you on each episode as we learn together how to say it properly. I am MABEL FOLUKE IRUKERA. See you then.